Monday, September 27th, Administrative and Public Works Committee. My name is Councilmember Braithwaite. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have a quorum. Is there a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the meeting, the minutes of the regular A&PW committee of August 9th, 2021 and September 13th, 2021.
Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Second.
Perfect. It's been properly moved in second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Thank you very much. All right. Next up, we have public comment. Do we have a sign-in sheet? Okay, we don't have anyone here in the public. We're just going to check online.
There's two.
Two online. Thank you.
Francine Allen, AS.
Thank you. I think I can remember that. Ms. Francine Allen,
Hello, good evening, thank you.
thank you. You have 2 minutes. Can you tell us which item you're speaking to, please?
This is the item of extraordinary sewer repair costs, support plan for that.
One of yours? P1. D1. Yes. Discussion. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I think many of you might know the story. I live at 2727 Elgin Road. Elgin Road is actually Golf Road, which is a state road. Earlier this year, I had a complete failure of my sewer system, and I couldn't flush my toilet, and the pipe, the last 3 feet of the pipe had been disconnected or broken or collapsed, something from the main, and the main is approximately 15 or 16 feet below Golf Road because it is a state road. If my house were around the corner, it would be about 6 or 8 feet below. The cost to repair this to me was $45,000. Again, if my house were around the corner, the cost would be maybe the max up to $10,000. So I have come to a couple different meetings asking for some sort of resolution or bylaw or ordinance, whatever it's called, to help homeowners on state roads like me who are faced with this type of catastrophic sewer repair cost. There are only a few streets in Evanston that are considered state roads, and only a few of those are actually high traffic roads. In order to fix my sewer, I had to hire a company that was able to dig down that deep. The amount of equipment and machinery and blocking traffic for 2 days to get this work fixed was above and beyond what any homeowner would have to do for any type of normal plumbing repair. So I'm hoping that there will be some discussion about what can be done to help homeowners in my situation. Thank you.
And thank you very much for you showing up. I just want to acknowledge that we've had several conversations, and I had shared with you just with our last couple of meetings, it was a lot of items on the agenda, so I appreciate your patience, and stick around. We'll have that discussion towards the end of the meeting.
Thank you. My pleasure. I'm just happy that it's being spoken about. Thank you.
Yes. Next, we have Betty Sue Esther. Miss Esther?
She's online.
Okay, Miss Esther. Oh, there you are.
Give me time. Give me time.
Take your time. Which item are you speaking to, Miss Esther?
Speaking to 810.
Okay.
And do I have the full 3 minutes?
Pardon me? The full
Do I
2
have my
minutes.
full 3 minutes?
2 minutes, Miss Esther. 2 minutes for committee meetings.
Okay, 2 minutes starting now.
Yes, ma'am. Which item? 10?
I'm here not as a member of the Alternative to Police Commission, but as the Citizen Network of Protection president, a 15-year-old Black-led community civil rights organization fighting systematic racism in Evanston police policy. I will give you some points from the letter that I sent you, and which we will publish on our Facebook page for the community to see the full letter. CNP is concerned about the selection of the city manager, and we vote for substantive resident input into the process, and residents who have been disproportionately impacted by inappropriate police behavior. We push for the adoption of a more robust process selecting community information. And we is requesting to the current change of receiving information from city council appointed committee. We must include meeting with local block clubs, faith institutions, community-based agencies, District 65 and 202 parent group, and student group.
Ms. Sessa, you
Black,
have 20
brown,
seconds to wrap
and
up, please.
community. And we have publicized the report from the Illinois DOT and from the FOIA request showing the disproportion of Blacks being, I won't say harassed,
Okay.
that is a word that we shouldn't use, but the police department seemed to be tracking and stopping the Blacks more than white.
Okay, I want to say thank you for your comments, and if you'd like to sign up again during city council, please do so. Thank you.
Oh, I have done that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll see you at city council. All right, we're going to conclude our public comments. Anyone, is there anything you want to pull off? I'm going to pull item A3 and
I'd like to pull A5,
A5. Hold on
A10,
one second.
and
Let me just-
A12,
pull an A5
as numbered on the ANPW agenda.
as numbered on the AP&W agenda. Yes, we are following that. I'd also like to pull A6. What were your other ones? I'm sorry, Councilmember Newsma.
I'm good.
You said A5,
I said A5, 10, and 12.
10, and 12. Thank you. Sorry for,
I'd like to add A9 to that as well.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Reed, which one?
A9.
Okay. Councilman Burns? None. Okay. Yes, it is. Yes, sir.
Oh,
All right, so
and
before-
someone pulled off A12, correct?
Again, sir?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so before we get started, we're pulling A3, A5, item A8, A10, and A11, and then A13 is going to be removed from this. This was added to the agenda in air and will be passed along at City Council.
I'm sorry, you added A11 being pulled?
Right, let me, again, 3, 5, A8, A9, A10, and A11, and item A13 was added by mistake. And then we have one item for consideration and one for discussion. Everybody good with that? No. No?
I think we're looking at the,
Are we looking at I have 10, 11, and 13 on the AP&W schedule,
and 12.
pardon me, and
Yeah, I don't know who pulled 13. 13, okay,
I thought
13
you
is-
said 13 was removed.
I don't think A11 was.
No, A11 was pulled off. Do you want me to do it again? One more time. No, it's good. A3, we're pulling A5, A8. Who wanted to pull A6, yes? No.
All right, I wrote down the wrong thing.
Yep.
That was my confusion.
Okay, we cleared it up. So then we have A8, A9. Nusma was A10. A11.
You pulled A11.
I thought that was you.
No, these, Councilmember,
Not me.
Okay, so then we'll leave that on. And then I thought item A13 was. Who pulled
I
A-
pulled off the 50/50 sidewalk. I'm sorry if that's A13.
That's A9, I thought.
Oh, okay.
Just, I would, maybe we could just run through it and state the topic
just
that we're
read it,
pulling off,
yep.
because there's a numbering discrepancy between the
Yep.
two agendas.
Okay. So I'm sorry for members of the public that are watching the committee. We work off of two agendas. One is the Administrative Public Works agenda, and then there's the City Council agenda. And from time to time, items will move around with different numbers. So we are going to move forward with the AP and W agenda. And if you have any items that you'd like to pull at the time, just please let me know. All right, starting with the A1, all these are for action. The approval of the BMO Harris credit line activity, July 26, of the period July 26, and the dollar amount of $10,931.49. That is for action. I'd also like to move item A2, which is the City of Evanston's payroll for the period of August 16th through August 29th in the dollar amount of $2,794,045.86, and also October 30th through September 12th in the dollar amount of $2,909,858.21, and for the September 28th in the dollar amount of $1,562,906.33, and the credit card activity for the period ending July 26th in the dollar amount of $178,282.61. Item A3 has been removed at the applicant's request, and we'll see that at our next agenda. Item A4 is the approval with the Thermal System, Inc., Daikin Applied Air Americas, Inc., for HV improvements at the Evanston Water Utility offices, and that's in the dollar amount of $562,504. This funding comes from our water fund. Item 5 has been pulled, the request of committee member. Item A6 is the purchase of ambulance of the fire department, 2 buses for Parks and Recs, and 2 trucks and a forklift for the Public Works Agency. All that information is in your packet. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to read it. With a budget of $1.6 million, year-to-date balance of $346,044. This is coming from our water fund, and that's for action. Item A7 is a single audit. Our staff's recommending that we review and place on file. Hopefully everyone's had an opportunity to read it. Item A8 is being held over. Item A9 is being held over. Item A10 is being held over. And item A11 is Resolution 84-R21, authorizing the city manager to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Chicago outlining the responsibilities of traffic signals and bus shelters along Howard Street. That is for action. And then item 12 is Resolution 91-R-21, allocating $850,000 in ARPA funding to the 2021 equipment replacements. And then item A13 is removed. Item A14 is the ordinance 87-021, vacating the east-west alley south of 815 Ridge Avenue. Staff recommends City Council adoption of this ordinance 87-021, vacating the east and west alley south of 815 Ridge Avenue. And this is for introduction. Item A15 is ordinance 93-021, authorizing the city manager to negotiate the sale of city-owned real property located east of Central Park Avenue between Grant Street and Payne. This is also for introduction. And then item A16 is ordinance 96-021, amending Title IV, Chapter 13, floodplain regulations. And staff's recommend the city council's adoption of this ordinance amending Title IV for the floodplains. This also is for introduction. The information's in your packet. Is there a motion to approve the,
I will second your motion to approve those items on the consent
as read?
agenda.
Thank you. It's been properly moved in motion. Director, do you mind calling roll, since we do have dollar amounts and bills to approve? Correct.
Councilmember Braithwaite.
Aye.
Councilmember Nusma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
Councilmember Reed.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly.
Okay, she's not here. All right, all those items passed. We'll quickly go back through. The first item pulled was item A3, and that was at the request of applicant. They wanted to get some additional information to members of council, so we'll hold that over to our next meeting. And then item A5 is the approval of the sole source contract renewal. Excuse me, my apologies. I'd like to move, who pulled this? Was this Reed?
I held that
Okay.
because the documentation was not in our original packet.
Okay, so let's move it, and then, or do you want to just hold it? Move to hold?
If we want to take a few minutes just to talk about it and
Okay.
give me a minute to catch up on the latest version of the packet, I am fairly confident that it's approvable.
All right. So let's pass on this one.
Sure.
And then you're going to give me the signal when you're ready, and if not, we can hold it over to
Sure.
the next meeting. Thank you. All right. Moving us right along, we have item A8 is the request for qualifications for the administrative hearing officers, RFQ. So this conversation has been going back for the past 2 years, and we had a good, fairly decent group, but it didn't have the diversity that I was particularly looking for, especially because we were doing alternative and the rest. And I think with all the attention that we have on administrative hearing, we want to make sure, to the best of our ability, that those that are hearing the complaints mirror the community. And we just didn't get enough. So I'd like to be able to instruct staff to go out, do some additional outreach, and then come back with this. Anybody have any questions on that? Pretty straightforward?
Pretty
Okay.
straightforward. I'm actually
Perfect.
still looking at A5 here, so.
All right, so I think what I'll ask then is a motion then to reject. We'll send our staff back out to do it again, and hopefully we'll get some more diverse candidates. Everybody good with that?
Second.
That's all right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All right, perfect, thank you very much. Next up, we have item A9. Councilmember Reed, was this yours?
Is that the 50/50 sidewalk?
Yeah,
the
do you
sidewalk.
mind reading it in? Do you have it up in front of you? If not, one of us can.
Are you able to hear me? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I'd just like staff to present.
We need you to read it in so we can, before we can talk about it.
I'll make the motion on
Thank
item
you.
A9, recommendations
Okay,
for the 2022 sidewalk improvement program.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Reed, you have the mic.
Yes, thank you. I would just like staff to give a presentation. I think there's been a bit of misinformation that has gone out regarding this.
We have Laura Biggs with our engineering department. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, members of the committee. My name is Laura Biggs. I'm the city engineer. Staff did not prepare a formal presentation. I can answer questions, or we can hold this to a future date where we can prepare a specific presentation.
Well, I just want folks in the community to understand that tonight we are not voting to eliminate the 50/50 sidewalk program, which we've received a number of emails regarding that. It's, it seems as though the way it's been reported in the media that we are considering that. So I just wanted to provide some clarity to folks on what's going on.
The staff is proposing a number of changes to the 50/50 sidewalk improvement program as it exists. One of those changes is to eliminate the 50% cost share so that the city would still repair sidewalks, but they would pay the entire cost, not just the cost of half of the thing, and property owners would not be asked to contribute. In doing this, the city would then focus on higher priority areas and would not necessarily go to locations that were more recently reported, but would instead focus on areas around critical facilities like schools and senior living facilities. If a property owner wanted to jump their sidewalk to the front of the line, because we have years of backlog, they could do so by paying 100% of the cost, and it would be included in the city's contract. But alternatively, they would simply just go to a list where we would eventually get there once we deal with the higher priority areas.
Thank you, thank you. And so I think before we go on to Councilmember Nusma, the article, or maybe one of the articles that Councilmember Reed is referring to is Evanston now, the title or heading was city something with a sidewalk, so I could see how that would be misleading. So thank you very much for
Sure.
for updating the members of our community. Councilmember Nusma, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple questions. If a homeowner did want to jump the line, so to speak, and pay 100%, are they bumping somebody else off of the line at the back end, or is that
No.
just in addition?
No, we would invoice them and just add the quantity to the contract.
Okay, so they're not taking anybody else's place if they
No.
want to pay for it themselves. Okay. And so what, just for my own clarification here, what are we voting on? We're voting on accepting and placing this report on file, but does that then memorialize the proposal? Or will that come back to us at a future date for another vote?
This memorializes the proposal, and the city staff will propose these budget limits in the 2022 budget. However, city council can tonight give feedback on if they like those limits or if they would prefer to see changes, or during budget discussions, they can make changes at that time.
I do
I'd
like
say-
this proposal. I think it addresses, some equity issues, and you guys have put some time and attention into it, so thank you for the work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your work. Did you get your point across?
No, thank you. Yeah, because I received a number of emails from constituents thinking that we were going to put the burden completely on residents. So
The opposite.
yeah, the opposite. Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
I have
All right.
one quick question.
Oh, please, sir. I'm sorry. I didn't see your.
Just last minute. So I'm trying to understand, there's a few areas where it says the ARPA funds, if approved, will replace the GO bonds. Is that entirely or only a portion of it? I'm just trying to see what is the recommendation for GO bonds for the sidewalk program, and what is it, how is that impacted if we approve? I think it said 2 million in ARPA money.
So in 2022, we're not planning on issuing a huge amount of bonds, either GO bonds or ARPA funding. And when we did the initial presentation about proposed changes, we discussed that there's such a huge backlog, it would be wise to do this to catch up. However, because the ARPA funds have not really been finalized to a point where any real decisions can be made yet regarding infrastructure, it's easy to push that off a year and discuss that as part of the 2023 program. In addition, they're using TIF money, and then staff will also be applying for CDBG funds. It's already a very big jump in our sidewalk program, so we feel comfortable that we're beginning to address the backlog and the needs anyway without a big infusion. But once we finish with the TIF areas, then we will need, if we want to really address backlog, we'll probably need to have a big infusion of general obligation bonds or an alternate funding source.
Is Simpson Street in a CDBG area where we could use funds between, let's say, Bridge Street or Brown and McCormick? And I ask because over the Rainbow, residents there with physical disabilities often use wheelchairs, and they are using our sidewalks. And I see many times where they're bumping up and down the sidewalk, and instead of using the sidewalk, they're forced to use the street, which is, dangerous for them. And so I would like to know, is there a way that we also can prioritize Simpson Street? Because that is basically a route to Walgreens, which we all go, to Walgreens who live in the area. I'm right on Simpson and Ashland, as well as a route downtown. And we don't have bike lanes on Simpson Street, so there's no coned off or marked off areas to create some separation between traffic and the residents there. So, just wondering if that's in the CDGB area.
At least a portion of that street is. I'm not sure if it goes all the way to Green Bay Road. It's something I can definitely check before the city council meeting. It is the staff's intent to address areas on Simpson Street sooner rather than later, because we recognize that's a big safety hazard for the population at Over the Rainbow, in addition to the fact that it's adjacent to a pharmacy and the Meals on Wheels facility.
That's it. Thank you.
Hi, this is Sarah Flax, Housing and Grants Manager. That part of Simpson Street is entirely within the CDBG income eligible areas. So I can let you know that now.
Thank you, Sarah.
If we could see how to loop that in, that's a big concern of mine. But again, I'm happy to talk to you offline more about it. But I just wanted to mention it.
We plan to address it. We've already been talking with Sarah about maybe even incorporating a portion of that onto one of our contracts this year because of the concerns around Meals on Wheels.
Thank you very much. All right, seeing no other lights for further discussion, all those in favor of putting this on file, accept and place on file, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed. All right, we'll move forward. Next up, we have item A10, which is Resolution 90-R-21, authorizing the mayor to execute agreement with Cooperative Personal Services, DBA CPHR Consulting, to conduct our city manager search. This is for action.
I'll second that.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Councilman Reed.
I'll probably say this at council because it'll likely get moved there, but I supported CPS HR. One of the key factors for me, I was fortunate enough to sit in with with Councilmember Nusma, who was a wonderful partner during the meetings that the interviews that we had with a number of firms, with I think it was 4. What really impressed me and what stood out about CPS HR is there's a saying from a gentleman here in Chicago who created a black tech mecca, as I think the name of it. And one of the sayings that he had was, you measure the things that you care about, and you care about the things that you measure. And CPS HR was the only firm that I interviewed that kept metrics on their diversity hires. And they could definitively say that within the last 3 years, that 51% of the people that they had placed in executive positions were minority, women, or other, African American belonging to minority groups. So I think that's a wonderful metric to keep, and it was extremely impressive. I think they've got the skills to do the job, and I'm looking forward to working with them.
Thank you for your comments. Seeing no further lights for discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
I did have a light on, or
I
meant
didn't
to
see it.
anyway.
I'm sorry.
I just want to kind of pick up where Councilmember Reed left off, and in addition to the equity commitment that CPS HR was able to display, I was particularly attracted to them because of their well-thought-out approach to community engagement. And that's something that made them stand out. I think we need a robust process that includes stakeholder engagement. Those stakeholders include the council. Those stakeholders include city staff, and last and certainly not least, and I would actually say first and foremost, those stakeholders include the citizens of Evanston. And CPS HR kind of demonstrated a model that would allow us a robust community engagement process. The trade-off is we were also hoping to find a firm that would cast a wider net, beyond the usual type of candidates that are progressing up through the city manager ranks. And we'd like to look for folks who are doing something different and not just currently working as city manager at a smaller city or an assistant city manager somewhere else, but cast a wider net into the nonprofit sector and commercial sector for that matter too. CPS-HR is not the best placed of the firms we were considering to do that. There was another firm that I think demonstrated a clear superiority in that aspect. But we can't have everything that we want, and in the end, I opted to support CPS-HR based on that committee engagement portion. So hopefully that begins to address some of Ms. Esther's concerns as well. That's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Seeing no further lights, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, this moves on to City Council. Thank you very much. Councilmember Newsom, are you ready to go back to item is that
A5? Yeah, I skimmed through that on the new packet, so I'm ready to vote on that if everyone else is.
Would like to move it for action, please?
I will move item A5, approval of sole source contract renewal with CDW for Cisco SmartNet support services. This is in the amount of $72,594.90.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have two additional items on discussion. We have about 10 minutes before our next committee starts. I'd like to move item D1. It's the sewer services repair costs. Did I miss one? Ooh, sorry about that, Johnny. 812? Yeah, 812 was approved on consent. We'll take it, we'll remove it at council. I'm sorry, okay. It's all right, we'll take it up at council. That leaves us with item D1, which is the sewer service repair costs. Staff is requesting direction from our committee for the potential city code changes for the financial assistance program. So for those of you that you've been here, you've heard one of our residents talked about this very specific part of town and parts that are where the sewer line failed. It is an incredible amount that any resident would have to hold, I think, and she's reached out to me. This is, who's it, Alderman Sufferman, is that 7 or is it 6th Ward? 6th Ward, 6th Ward. So I think the challenges with this is, once we go down that road, we just don't know how many additional homes will be impacted at that cost, and we do not have a designated fund at this time. So, Director Stonebeck, I don't know if you have any comments you want to share with the committee and throw us a bone, and then we'll see where the conversation
Thank you,
takes place. Thank you,
Chair
sir.
and members of the committee. Dave Stonebeck, Public Works Agency Director. My only fear with providing the grant program is that we really don't know or have a handle on how many grants we might have to provide. I provided information today in the response to some agenda item questions that in 2019 there were 3 sewer repairs that cost over $25,000, and in 2020 there were 21 and 20. So 2 this year and 3 last year. But the sewer services are getting older. They were installed at the same time that the house was built. So our housing stock is older. We have plenty of homes that are 80 to 100 years old. And I perceive that we'll just have more and more sewer failures unless the homeowners take action to rehabilitate them or to replace them. So this could be, we just don't have a handle on it. the resident talked about just on state routes, but there's other areas. There's a home built in the middle of a block. There's 2 north-south alleys, 2 east-west alleys, and the home's built in the middle of all those. And their sewer service runs through one east-west alley, then through the north-south alley, and has to be close to 600 feet long. If that person needs a sewer repair, even though it's not deep, it just could be very expensive because of the length of it. We have other homes on Sheridan Road where instead of going out to the center of the street, they run their sewer service down the parkway underneath all the trees and then to a side street. So all these costs, all these different situations could add up where somebody's expense is extremely high, and then the city would, you know, if it's over a certain dollar amount, would have to provide a grant under the one proposal I provided. But there are plenty of companies that out there right now that provide insurance for sewer systems, specifically for sewer system repairs. It's not, you can't have a failed sewer and then call up and try to get the insurance. They won't provide it to you. So my recommendation is that we change the city code to say that when you go to purchase a home, you have to acknowledge that you know where your sewer is located, so you know if it's on a straight route, you know if it's very long and going down the parkway, you know what condition this is, and I also suggest you find out whether your water service is copper or lead, and if you want to do those type of things. That only is happening if you're purchasing a home, but if this is the direction that the city council seeks, then I think the city can have a publicity campaign to say, do you know where your sewer service is? Do you know how expensive it could be to fix? This is something you may want to look into and purchase insurance if you deem it's necessary. There's companies that actually want to partner with the city that sell this. They want to be the insurance company of choice for the city of Evanston. Now, I don't recommend that because I don't want to recommend any insurance company to all of our constituents. I think the constituents should do their own investigation and hire an insurance company that they feel is appropriate if they feel that they need to do it. I think that if we partner with an insurance company, for whatever reason they denied a claim, the resident will wind up calling the city, and then, you know, it puts us in a trick bag there, I think. So, because it's just an unknown amount that we may have to pay, I don't recommend the city do that. The sewer system is getting older. We're spending a lot of money rehabilitating our sewers all the time. I think we just need to have a campaign to make the homeowners aware of their responsibility of the sewer systems, that the opportunity is there to buy insurance, and that they should proceed in that manner.
Thank you very much, Director, for your presentation. Councilmember Nusma.
How many miles of state streets do we have in Evanston?
I don't have that number off the top of my head. It's Crawford, Golf Road, Central Street, almost the entire length.
Dempster.
Church.
Yeah, Dempster is pretty long. Church is shorter, and there's a small section of Asbury that's on their state route as well.
Yeah, so we really don't know what our exposure would be if we opened up,
Even on state routes, but then you can have these expensive expenditures on non-state routes as well. And so why would we say only on state routes and not on some other?
And so the proposal to have, at the time of a sale, to have that information be presented to the new owner, what kind of burden or cost does that place on the seller?
They would have to hire a plumbing contractor to do a closed-circuit TV inspection of their sewer service, which is something I recommend anybody do anyway. So I think that happens, and you have to provide that videotape to the purchaser. And then also, you know, the water service, you have the plumber just identify what it is at the water meter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we would be imposing costs on property owners when they're getting ready to sell their house.
That is correct. I don't think it's extremely expensive to have that work done, though.
Yeah, and most home buyers do
$5,000.
Especially in Evanston because we're Tree City. And so,
so is that something that the city should be requiring if it's already kind of standard practice for the home inspector?
I don't know how you legislate that, but I think most, not all, depending on who's doing the purchases, as a new home buyer, you're going to invest the $275 or whatever the cost is now for a home inspection. Paying attention to the foundation is always something that most people are aware of, the mechanicals, the date of the mechanicals. So I don't know how we legislate, but I would say that
Well,
in the
it would
next
be
couple of
legislate-
months. Oh, okay, you go. And then
You
I'll-
would legislate it by, right now, before you can get your transfer tax, you have to be current on your water bill. So the city is already reviewing to see if somebody's current on their water bill. So we could add this as a task before we would give out the transfer tax stamp, that the purchaser, actually it's the seller, provides an affidavit that he has made the purchaser aware of the condition. So that's what the videotape is. But a lot of times you just get the videotape and you don't really realize that your sewer service is running under Goff Road, or, you know, through some alley or down a parkway. That's why the language would say the condition, the location, and then the water service material. And we could do that by ordinance if that's the direction of the council. I acknowledge that a lot of them already do that closed circuit TV inspection before they sell their property, but I don't think it's made clear where the sewer service goes.
Yeah.
And believe me, in Evanston, there's a lot of strange circumstances where, you know, at one time, maybe the father owned his great big lot, and then he subdivided and built a house for his son or his daughter, and their sewer service runs through the old farmer's, you know, the father's property. Well, then all these properties got split up, and so now people's sewer services are running through other residential properties before it gets out to the street. That's something that you should find out.
Yeah, right. Lenders require a building inspection in order to finance the property. I know that in our case, we had our home inspected. The inspection did not include a sewer video, and lo and behold, within about 6 weeks of us moving in, the sewer collapsed, and, you know, we're on the hook for $12,000. On a state, we live on a state road, but fortunately, our sewer went out the back to the alley, so. Anyway,
Am I
thanks
allowed
for-
to say anything?
Thanks for the insight.
You know, we typically don't, and we have a few minutes before our next meeting, so if you want to ask a question that maybe our director can answer, and then we'll wrap up this question. Go ahead.
Okay, there's a couple of things. First of all, I think that insurance companies only pay up to $10,000 for sewer repair. I checked into it, and this was a they're not going to pay $45,000. Second of all, I had my sewer video cameraed when I bought my house, and everything looked fine. And I had it videoed right before I had this collapse, right before when this problem started. And people from the city of Evanston and the sewer department even came out and looked at the camera while the plumber was recording it, and they said it looked fine, didn't look like anything was broken. So the video cameras are great, but they can't always see where the problem is, which is what happened to me. And I'm going to bet that if you look back if you look in a 5-year or a 10-year look back, you probably only got a few people in Evanston who have had this type of repair. $45,000 is more than 10% of the value of my home. It's 4 times my taxes. I mean, how does that fit? How will I, as a seller, you know, who's going to want to buy a house on a state road? Once you make a public relations campaign, advertising campaign, know where your sewer is in case it costs you up to $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. Who's going to want to buy my house or any of the others along Golf Road? And the reason I live here is because I can afford this price home. So the solution seemed good, but they're not practical. Not to mention, how is the city going to know when somebody brings their video camera disc to the city and says, here, I want to get my transfer tax, here, this shows that my sewer's clear? Who's going to check that to see that it really is? Is there going to be plumbing people, inspecting those video discs of the sewer? So I just see a lot of issues with those solutions, and I really have to believe that this is not the kind of of fund or the kind of reimbursement that's going to be a huge expense to the city, especially when there is maybe one or two a year. And I bet if you did a look back, there'd be even fewer. So, and maybe it's based on, on somebody's taxes or something like that, but it is an unbearable burden. $45,000 for a home on Gulf Road that's market value is about $425,000 right now. There has to be some way to help people in my situation, other than putting the onus on a seller or a buyer to know exactly what's going on with their sewer when doing a video inspection is not foolproof.
Thank you, Miss. Thank you, Miss Allen.
Thank you.
We understand the
My passion for this issue.
passion and the
It's just-
financial burden. It's
Yeah,
not
it
lost
is.
on
It's
any of
huge.
us. It is. It is.
And the gentleman who just said he had a sewer repair was how much? 12,000? I mean, that's bad enough. But 45? I'd just like to know what he would have done in that situation if he was faced with 45,000.
Yeah. We have next speaker is Councilmember Burns.
Yeah, my question coming into this one was, just how you provided some other scenarios, but would they amount to a $45,000 bill? That was a question that I had as you were talking. My other question is, how long would it take us to determine how likely this is to happen? Where are the areas around Evanston where a similar situation that we're discussing today would likely take place, where there's houses along a state road where they have a sewer line that's deeper than in other areas? Do we have a sense of how long it would take us to wrap our head around all the impact areas?
I would think it's something that we get done within 3 months or so. Looking at the depth of the sewers, we could come up with locations that are deeper than a certain depth and determine that. And then a state route adds a little bit more money to it because of the traffic control that's required by IDOT when you do work on a state route. Depth is the most important thing. And then how much traffic is out there for the traffic control. And then also the soil conditions. So if you have to excavate 10 feet deep in a sandy area, it's more challenging than excavating 12, 14 feet deep in a clay area. So there's a lot of different factors that potentially arise to determine the cost. So again, it would only be a ballpark guess for us to come up with something with how many areas.
I think having that information is important, particularly also because this is a state road, a near state road, or however that works out. I think pulling the state into this conversation makes sense. If the depth is the case specifically in this situation, because it's a state road, I think, can we not pull them in?
That's not the factor. The depth is the gravity flow of the sewer. So it's an Evanston sewer that where this particular resident lives is we're flowing to the canal, and that's just the depth of the sewer to be able to, this sewer goes all the way up to Crawford and Central and flows south. So you start at 5 foot deep, and then to get it to flow, you have to keep going down in grade. And that happens everywhere. On all of our larger diameter sewers, they're deeper by the outlet by where they connect to the MWRD system. So
there's other state road. I don't even know if there are other state roads,
and
but
again, it's not, the state route isn't.
has
the
nothing to
problem.
do
It's
with the depth.
The state route
Mine was
causes an
20,
additional.
like 15 feet, at least.
Right.
They dug at least 15 or 16 feet down.
But that was not due to being on a state road.
Okay.
That's just the depth of the sewer to make, it flows by gravity. The additional cost that this resident experienced because it was on a state route is because of the traffic control needed. But
No,
the-
that's
whether-
not right. It was
Right, Ms.
all the
Al-
different equipment that
Okay.
was used for this, and the excavation, and how big the hole they had to dig, and the flow, the specific material they had to refill the hole with, and the traffic control was $2,000 a day. So that is a lot of money, but that wasn't the only thing. That is not, and I can
And I'm going to
submit a
say,
bill.
right, no, thank you.
So that's the last thing.
what-
I would like to know how much of the cost was impacted by the fact that it was along a state road. I would also like to know that. So those are the only two things I.
All right. So I just want to inform the members, so the next regular scheduled meeting, I'm waiting for Johanna to step out to see if we have all the members present, so we have a quorum. I made a mistake and I overlooked item C1 for consideration, and just in an effort to keep us all on time. Director, thank you. We're good for quorum? Okay. We do have quorum for our next meeting. Item C1, Mr. Rivera, do you mind coming back? And then Dave will continue this discussion offline. I just want to say, Ms. Allen, thank you very much for your advocacy as well. We have all received emails from your neighbors providing support for your cause. All right.
Good evening, members of the committee. Michael Rivera, Parking Manager, City of Evanston. I'm here before you today asking for action and direction as to how we proceed with the lakefront parking program approved by City Council that is due to expire October 31st, 2021. Currently, the program has been successful. We've processed over 3,400 transactions since August 2nd, and we've generated over $73,400. And we are looking for direction as to how do we proceed. Do we charge for parking all year round at the same rate as currently? And do we continue to add further blocks along the lakefront, 500 block of Sheridan, 1,000 to 1,200 blocks of Lakeshore Boulevard, and 2,000 block of Lake Street, and the 1,700 block of Judson Avenues?
Thank you very much for your report. Can you just summarize two quick issues? So the first thing I heard was 73,000.
Total revenue since August 2nd through today has been $73,400.
So that's less than 2 months, $73,000.
Correct.
Just for those that are listening in, this was a pilot program that we talked about in coordination with Free Beaches and also acquiring additional revenue. This is also charged only to non-residents and those who do not have a City of Evanston's wheel tax.
That is correct.
Okay. All right, let's open up for discussion. And if we can wrap this up in 3 minutes with clear direction, just to keep us moving forward this evening, I'd appreciate that. I have Councilmember Reed, followed by Newsma. And again, we're just giving staff direction, and I would ask you to lead in with a yes, I'm in support. So I'll say yes, I'm in support for moving forward and bringing us back additional information that will allow us to have something to vote on. We do not have anything to vote on in front of us, just looking for direction, not statements to keep us forward. Thank you. Reed, Newsma.
Certainly. So I want to thank you. This is a really good detailed memo. I'm fully supportive of this, so I hope we can move forward. One question, how do we delineate, is there at the pay box, I haven't parked at the lakefront, but is there a message that says, hey, you don't have to pay for parking if you're an Evanston resident? How does that work?
Yes, there is a message that's programmed onto the home screen as you walk up to the pay box.
Okay.
Yes, and the language on that screen reads, current Evanston wheel tax vehicle payment exempt.
Okay. And the average ticket price not ticket, I shouldn't use that term. The average
Can you pass this down to him?
receipt was $5.66, correct?
That's correct.
And so that's about what?
Just under 2 hours is the average time.
I read it. You've read it?
Someone's patronizing the area.
You've read, okay. You're good?
Supportive of this, I wonder, I would even be interested in expanding this, particularly as we're looking in, we can keep it as it is for now, but, as we're looking into next year, garnering just about $50,000 in 30 days from August 2nd to August 31st is great money for the city, particularly if we included Evanston residents. And if, looking ahead, as Alderman Braithwaite mentioned, he tied this to the beaches, paying $5.66 for each beach visit as opposed to, and that's if you decide to drive and park at the lakefront, is a much better proposition than paying close to $200 for beach tokens for a family of 4. So you can get quite a number of beach visits out of this proposal, and if you don't drive, you can save the money.
Although, to be clear, it's only non-Evanston residents who are paying for parking.
And I
we're
think in the future, to make beaches free and to raise the revenue to actually sustain that, this is showing
Right.
strong potential to do that in an equitable.
But at least our short-term plan is to continue to charge non-Evanston residents for
That
beach
is correct.
access.
Correct.
That is correct.
That is correct.
Sorry to jump into
Yep.
your time.
So I think you got the direction that
Well,
many,
actually-
oh, I'm sorry. Go
No.
ahead, sir.
Sorry.
No, you have
That's
you have
okay.
the floor.
I am not opposed to continuing this, but I am not ready to support it yet until, we hear back from, at the very least, our three colleagues on whose wards these properties, these parking places exist. And so I don't think we're, hearing everybody that needs to be heard if our colleagues are not involved in that conversation. You did, in email earlier today, say that there were only 10 inquiries over the 311 system?
Under 10 inquiries, we had 311.
Okay.
Yes.
And one of the concerns that residents had expressed, going into this was that there would be a spillover effect and people would be parking a little bit further inland to avoid paying. And so has that not been a problem, or you haven't heard that much?
It hasn't been a problem on the average day. On like holiday weekends, it has been a problem. This is why we're looking for the complete expansion, holistically throughout the entire lakefront.
Okay. Yeah, so like I said, I'm not unopposed, or I'm not opposed, but I don't want to, I can't support this yet until we have more engagement of residents and the council members, the lakefront council members.
Sure.
Thank you very much for your comments, and Mr. Rivera, I know you're very good about reaching out, so if you have the direction from the committee members that are present, you're good?
Sure. I can present something for introduction next time. Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much for the presentation. All right, I'd like to thank you all, to staff, the residents that tuned in. Seeing no additional information in front of us, we're going to adjourn this meeting. The AP&W session was, that was originally scheduled for 5:15 will begin in 5 minutes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor, please signify by, that's been seconded by myself. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Seeing noes, thank you very much. 5 minutes, AP&W.